Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mo Football Podcast. And hope you all have a great day. I know it's a little cold in St. Louis, so hopefully you all are bundling up. And for those of you in Florida, I don't really appreciate you, but it's a different discussion. So for today's episode, we have my good friend Lux, St. Louis Lux, famous radio personality and also voice at City Park for not only St. Louis City Voice, but also CD2. And sometime we can see her around St. Louis doing some radio things and, social media aspect. So how are you doing, Lux?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, except for the fact that on the other side of the state from you. I just
Yes.
moved to Kansas City in April, and it does create a little bit of distance between
Mhm.
our mutual love, St. Louis City SC, our love.
Yes.
But don't worry, I'm still a season ticket holder. I still come home for as many games as possible, and getting to be the voice of St. Louis City too also allows for that. So I make it back to St. Louis quite often, but I always am happy when I get back, like I did a couple weeks ago during Thanksgiving, that I get to see you, especially out at a soccer
Yes.
game.
Yes, always. I think we always see each other Saki. But I think just to bring back to sort of that long drive that you're I think one thing that kind of amazed us is that you were doing, the whole 3.5, 4 hour drive from Kansas City. I guess won't say that too loud for many people. But so how it's like to kind of, manage that drive. How is that? Especially for the love of city too, especially.
Yeah, well, I think I'm very lucky, first and foremost, that my parents still live in St. Louis. So I still have a place to crash
Mhm.
when I go to the games. And I'm also very lucky that my partner in life loves soccer too. So I don't have to do the drives alone. And occasionally he even drives. He would drive more. It's just I am such a control freak. And I get super nauseous when anyone else drives. And for 3.5 hours, that'd be a long time to be sick to my stomach. So
That
most of the time I drive. Honestly, it only worries me when the games go late.
right.
For instance, if we go into penalty kicks or something like
Mhm.
that, then I'm thinking, oh man, I'm not going to get home till after midnight. Most of the time after the games, we are done around 8 p.m.
Right.
So it does take me close to midnight to get home. And then I do my day job here. I'm a radio DJ in Kansas City, Missouri, and I have to be on the air 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. So my alarm,
Wow.
those mornings were tough. But there's only two home games a month.
Mhm.
And it just, my love of the team and my love of the sport and just my passion for getting to be involved in all of it since finally we had a team in St. Louis. I've been waiting my whole life for that.
I'm sure
It's
you
worth
have.
the drive home, like worth every mile, worth every dollar in gas. Um, yeah, worth
Perfect.
it.
Yeah. So I think so. I kind of to bring it back to circle it back a little bit. So could you tell for those that are not maybe familiar with St. Louis of who Lux is and Ashley, as many of us know you. Could you tell us a little bit about your St. Louis heritage and how did you come about soccer?
Yeah. I'm born and raised St. Louis, and soccer, thankfully, was my very first sport.
Right.
I was a dual sport athlete, and I remember probably being in high school when my coaches were like, "You should really choose one." And funny enough, my dad coached basketball, so I chose basketball. But I left high school and decided not to play sports in college. But I did play recreational soccer, and I still do to this day. I'm playing out here in Kansas City in a recreational league. So my love of soccer came from just being a player myself and falling in love with the sport. I did love STLFC when they were playing here. That was incredible, especially getting to go out there and be with the St. Louligans really early on in their heritage was really exciting. But when I found out we might get our own MLS team, oh man, I just felt this like passion really rise in me, knowing that St. Louis on its own has this incredible history. With St. Louis University being the first NCAA championship winner, with all of the St. Louisans that have gone to play on World Cup teams, including the very first ever World Cup team.
Yes.
That it would be something truly special. And I remember I've been friends with Matt Seebeck, who is the CXO of
Yeah,
St. Louis City SC. He's in charge of all of your guest experiences. Everything. He touches a little bit of everything in that organization.
that
And
guy.
had become friends through my radio involvement. I was a radio DJ for 105.7 The Point for 15 years. And in my years there, Matt Seebeck had his very own sports blog. I think it was called joesports.com or averagejoesports.com. I don't know. I just thought it was really funny, really informative, and I loved it. So I hit Matt up and asked if he would want to be a part of the station, and we became friends through that. So when he had gotten hired at City, I said, what can I do? I will literally do anything. How can I lend my passion to this organization? How can I be involved? And when he called me up and said, hey, we're looking for a public address announcer for St. Louis City 2. We're looking for somebody to do some hosting for both City 2 and City 1, kind of a hybrid position. Would you want to be involved? And I said, literally, where can I sign? How high do I need to jump? Are you sure you don't want me to pay you? I don't know how this works, but I want to be involved so badly. I also, of course, bought my season tickets because I just had to be a part of it. But if you're wondering how exactly I got primed for that job, in 2021, the St. Louis Ambush in the Major Arena Soccer League, which has a rich history in St. Louis as well, starting as the St. Louis Steamers and then becoming the Ambush. They knew I loved soccer because I post about it all the time on social media. They knew I loved using a microphone, which of course I still do now. And they said, hey, we're looking for somebody to assist our other public address announcer. Have you ever thought about doing anything like that? And I said, no, I've hosted events before, but I've never announced anything. And they said, hey, we've got a tournament game. It's preseason, no big, no stress. Do you want to come try it out? And I went and I absolutely fell in love with it. Not only did I fall in love with announcing and making sure people were able to hear the announcements, because I think that's very important. As somebody who loves, as a fan, I want to know what's going on. So that was exciting. But the MASL is so incredibly exciting. And I know we'll talk about it, but I absolutely fell in love with the sport. So that led me to 2 seasons with the St. Louis Ambush. And on that second season, that's when Matt Seebeck reached out for the first season. It would be the second season of St. Louis City 2, because the first season they played at Herman Stadium, and I know they played out at SIU Edwardsville. But the first season inside City Park, they said, hey, you've been a public address announcer now for 2 years. You have 15 years of radio experience and you love soccer. Do you want to come announce here? And I said, yes, please. So, yeah. And then within a year there, they transitioned my position into kind of a hybrid now. So I'm upstairs and I'm announcing everything. And then I run downstairs and I jump on the mic and grab kids and we have a bunch of fun and give away cool stuff. And then I run back up and I announce goal a bunch of times because City 2 is awesome. So I just got to say that 100 million times over the last season.
Yes. Oh, yes. You are everywhere. People say I am everywhere. I think you cover more space than I do during those games. And
Oh yeah,
and I think
I'm running.
that's one thing that's amazing. I think about St. Louis is all of the connections. Knowing, just bringing back Matt Seebeck. We all know that he also plays SLU High soccer, and then he went into technology, and then it's all ingrained into. I think we all tied with soccer in mind. He went the technology route. You then went to the radio route, and then all before you know it, you've known each other for a long time, and work for him or work with him, which is quite amazing.
They had him specifically, and what City did before they even got the first season started. They started a couple of groups where they allowed fans, people from the St. Louis soccer community of all walks of life. I mean, the diversity in this room was just absolutely incredible. Age, race, sex. I mean, it was just absolutely amazing. And they asked us, what did we want out of the fan experience? And they would ask us like once a month to get together, 30 to 50 of us. What do you want out of the pregame. What do you want out of your away trips? What do you want as a supporter section? And he took his technology to it and was like, what do you want in this app? What do you want as far as food? And of course, we're all saying, well, we want easy to get to beers and we want easy to get to bathrooms. And then you look at what happened when they built the stadium and they put the largest amount of alcohol vendors behind the supporter section and gave us the largest amount of bathrooms. And you go, oh, they listened exactly to what the city wanted. And then he took that marriage of technology and made it possible. I mean, we just walk in, swipe our card, grab our food, and walk back out again. Like,
Yeah, we're
it's
spoiled.
crazy. It's crazy what you find when people have the heart of it is soccer, but then that people are just these giant onions with all these other layers. And then you take the layers of all the different people, put them together, and that's what you get, crazy.
Yes. So, so what would you say, for the now 2 years of City, having a professional soccer team, what would you say it's maybe like your first game experience? What was the first game you went to, and how was that like? Because I think I've spoken with other people, and they all had a different experience. Some had waited 30 plus years to have a professional soccer team. So, how was that experience to you? First game, and how did that go?
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. I was very sad. I was out of town for the very first game in
Oh, you
City
missed the
Park, which was
Leverkusen?
the game in November. Yes, I
Oh,
was out of town. Absolutely dreadful, but I did get the very special home opener experience.
yes.
I took my father, who had been my soccer coach and my sports guru for all of
Mhm.
my years. I was 40 years old before I got to walk into a professional soccer stadium, let alone one built for my own city, which was
Right.
so crazy. I'd never gone to an MLS game before then. I'd only been enjoying it really from the comfort of my home watching on television. And I just remember walking in and feeling this electricity. I mean, the team hadn't even walked on the field yet. We got there about an hour and a half early.
Right.
Because I am in the supporter section, my seats are pick your own, choose your own. And we wanted to sit 3 or 4 rows off the field. So we got there early. And I'll tell you what, it's totally worth it. It's
Yes.
so worth it. And you're never bored. There's no boredom when you're there an hour and a half early. There's no way you would catch me going to a Cardinals game early. Not a Blues game early. I'm sorry. The games are too long on their own. But you wouldn't catch me going early. But when you're early at City Park, there's every different special local food option for you. So of course we went over to get Steve's hot dogs. Steve Ewing and the
Staple.
Urge have been like a catalyst of my radio career. They're one of the first bands I listened to on 105.7 The Point. I think I was like 13 or 14 when I found the Urge, and Steve was this absolute rock star. He still is.
Yes.
So getting to support him and get hot dogs with my dad, which is such a quintessential sports fan moment. And then the pregame, you've got Kristen, you've got Joey, you've got all this action, you have local musicians being featured, you have incredible partners to the community being supported. Those are things that you don't see at every game and you don't see in every stadium. The real attention to the community being a part of the St. Louis City SC as a whole is just the perfect marriage, and they do it so well. So we were just super entertained. The moment the lights go red and Uprising by Muse plays. I've seen Muse a bunch of times over my career. They're
Right.
one of my absolute favorite bands. And the song of Uprising and it being our first season in the league and the lights go red. And I just out of my mind, I can't remember an experience in a stadium or a venue. And the past 5 years previous to that I had enjoyed that much. And I, working in radio, went to concerts 2 to 3
So it
times
says
a
a lot.
week. And I'm talking big artists. So yes, this felt like a completely new experience. And getting to have it with my dad. I've never been a season ticket holder of anything. My family's never had anything like this. It was just truly an epic experience. And then we win the game, and I'm directly behind the cute little baby who's being Mufasa into the
Sure.
air, like the Lion King. I mean, there's beer showers are everywhere, and there's smoke bombs and the flags. And my dad had never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it. I don't know that he had watched much professional soccer up until then. And now he's like fully in. My dad and my mom are fully into soccer now after this. It's changed our family for real, which is very
Nice. So now
cool.
I guess now I hang out with your dad even more.
Yes, we did spend so much time together at these games. It was awesome.
Nice, nice. So yeah, so it looks like I'm gathering almost the same idea, especially Joey. I'm just seeing his, very passionate, speeches. Pretty much, it sounded just like he was like it's just a build up of decades, and it's just hit you in the first season, which was totally different. Also being so successful.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
so so before City and before St. Louis FC, was there a team outside of MLS or even in MLS that you kind of followed, or was it more of a um, just watch a few games and then St. Louis and then boom?
yeah. I mean, I was watching just whatever I could see on TV, whether that was like Manchester United or Arsenal, whatever's going on in the Premier League. I hadn't really chosen a team. However, my family is from the Netherlands, so I have a lot of fans leaning Dutch. They like to
Okay,
wear orange. So it has some love there. But really, I think STLFC kind of filled the gap once because the ambush has been such a like steamers, then it was ambush, then it was gone, then it was back, and in between there was STLFC. So I always had some sort of St. Louis team to really be following, and in the gaps, just watching on TV.
okay,
I'm so excited now that not only do I have St. Louis City SC to love, but I have an NWSL team to love too, which is so cool
yes.
because as a woman, I never imagined that I'd be watching professional females on TV playing sports, let alone living in a city where they are and
Right
then
next
getting
to
to
it.
announce them, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I think that was the next part I was going to kind of talk about that
Oh,
NWSL part. And I have four girls, so they're all excited about going. There's they were mad at me because there was not that much game played at home.
yeah.
And I don't know if you didn't know, but I actually went to high school at North Kansas City High School, which is right down the road from the stadium, pretty much.
Yeah.
So yes, so I'm still due to go and watch a game there. So guess I have many friends that tells me to come and show. So knowing that you then moved to Kansas City to watch that stadium, and
Mhm.
I'm sure you went and watched the game and then being an announcer. So how did that come about? And is it a different experience where you go as a spectator and then have being able to do that as a commentator? Can you tell us a little bit more about that experience?
Yeah. So the color play-by-play broadcaster for the Kansas City Current is a friend of mine named Jillian, and she asked if she could come on my radio program and promote the games that were coming up. And I said, yes, absolutely. I would love to talk women's soccer on the radio with you. So she came in and we were chatting about the Women's Cup that was here. They had international teams and they had the Current playing as the team from the United States, which was so exciting. And they
Yeah.
won the cup and it was their very first win. So exciting. But she came on that weekend. And I suppose like the best friends you can have in the world do, she spoke my name in a room that I wasn't in. And
Nice.
that week, I got contacted from a producer over at the Kansas City Current, and they said, "Hey, we heard that you're a public address announcer and a host. Would you like to come be a host for one of our games?" And I said, "Absolutely." And the day or two before, they said, "Hey, we're not going to need you for a host. Instead, would you be our public address announcer?" And I said, "All right,
Yeah.
let's go." It wasn't until like maybe the actual night before that they told me the stadium here, CPKC Stadium, is the first ever stadium built specifically for women's sports, not just
Yes.
soccer, but women's sports, which is exceptional. But they had not had a female public address announcer. So I was the first ever female public address announcer in the first ever stadium built for females. It was absolutely incredible. Insane experience. I actually didn't get to see a game until after I worked. So I remember asking them like, "Hey, what entrance do I come meet you at?" Because we're used to City Park, which has entrances on all sides. It has four
Yes.
entrances. So I said, "What entrance do I meet you at?" And they said, "There's only one." I felt so dumb because I hadn't been there before. I didn't know any better. But it was so incredible to just, first of all, I got to yell goal for Temwa Shawinga, Golden Boot winner.
Yeah, she's
Absolute
different.
champion, just incredible. So I got to yell goal for her, which I will take with me as an experience to my grave. I got to announce that I was in this incredible stadium, and owners like Patrick and Brittany Mahomes, who have put so much into the Kansas City community. Like, it was so cool. And it actually happened that it was on my mom's birthday. So she was in town. So my mom and my partner were both at the game to watch me. And since she got me onto my first microphone, that felt pretty special too.
Nice. So you were breaking grounds, took your mom to a soccer game, women's soccer game. So, wow.
Yeah.
So, and it come full circle. So it looks like lesson learned is be nice to people, always do good work, and then people will
Yes.
speak your name in rooms that you're not in.
Yes. And also, you never know what's going to happen. There's no way in the world, if you had asked me at 25, would I be doing this now at 41 years of age? I would have laughed at you. I would have said, how in the world would I get into a major stadium like that? How would that ever happen? So I just hope that people always know that you never know what's coming around the bend, and just say yes to the opportunities as they come to you, and then try your very best.
Hey, who thought I will be interviewing you and being on front of a camera, which I was a IT geek, behind the computer and not really a camera. So yes, totally different.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes. And soccer will make you do crazy things on and off the field.
Soccer will truly bring you to some incredible experiences. I would definitely say without soccer, I would have never gone to the soccer tournament. You know what I mean? I can't believe I got to go out to Cary, North Carolina for a second time in June. Did you watch the TST at all?
I think I watched about 90% of it.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So you
And
got
I'm hoping I'll make it. But I think every time they did it, I was either on vacation with the family. So this one I'm trying to wait for the date, but it's getting bigger and better. So
yeah,
we'll have to make it happen. Yes.
Plus, I'll need more people to hang out with me up there.
Yes. And you guys have won it once. So, you won the first ever one.
Yeah.
So you will be in the history books forever. Yes.
I have the, as most tournaments do, they have little placards where you can move your team's name to the next part of the tournament. I noticed the women doing it when I was at CP Casey, announcing the Big 12. Every time a team won, they moved theirs. I have the Newtown Pride giant circle from the championship one staring at me in the face, which is just very cool. And that came through because of my contacts at the St. Louis Ambush. Again, working in the league, meeting people, being passionate about the sport. I was able to meet Onua Obasi. He is the head coach of Newtown Pride, now the new head coach of the Empire Strikers in the MASL. He was a player when I met him, but now he's a head coach, which is exciting, as he well deserved. He hit me up in February and said, hey, there's rumor of this tournament. It's going to be in North Carolina. It's $1 million tournament. We need somebody to run some social media for us. What are your thoughts? And I said, yeah, absolutely. I'd never heard of it. No idea what he's even talking about. And then months later, he kept asking me about players. Which players did I like? I could tell that he was building a roster. He asked me for somebody on midfield and defense. And I, at the time, was with the St. Louis Ambush and said to him, I think Marcel Berry is somebody that you should look into. I told him all the reasons why. He looked into Marcel. Marcel and I didn't even really know each other at the time, which is funny because he is now my partner. We didn't even know each other, but I just thought he was such an incredible player. So when he and I went up there together, we thought, wow, this is crazy. We're both from the St. Louis Ambush, and now we're both here on this team in Newtown. We've got Paolo, who's the goalie in St. Louis Ambush. He's there. We got Will Eske, who is Marcel's roommate at college. They both played at William and Mary together. But the entire team was pretty much built up of indoor soccer players. And we went out there and just absolutely tore the pants off everybody. It was crazy. First, we just kept winning and winning. And I was like, this is single elimination. How do we keep going through? And then they won the $1 million, and it was crazy.
Yeah, and I think it showed also how, since it was the smaller field and smaller goal, it shows that the indoor guys had, a little bit more knowledge on the pass through Paul and how to play together a lot easier. And I think now that's where you're starting to see, I think a lot of the teams now do have indoor players in those teams now a lot more. So you could see
they caught on.
Yes.
The first year, most teams played it almost as if it was a traditional 11 sided
you
type
could tell.
game without subbing. Whereas in the indoor game, you're playing 6 aside, 5 and a goalie on each. And most of the players are rotating off the bench the way you would see a hockey player jump on and jump off about every 2 minutes or so. So we were shuffling through our players out there, and these guys are playing 2, sometimes 3 games a day. It was like 90 million degrees outside.
Yeah.
For some reason, although very much sponsored by a company that had waters, we didn't have a lot of waters. We had a ton of like the vitamin water, like the flavored stuff. So the poor guys are drinking nothing but like grape and cherry. Which of course made them very nauseous. But you could see in these games, the other team looked exhausted and they were like, what is happening? And our guys are just flying, and you're hearing the announcers, I don't really understand. The Newtown Pride is really, they're leaning on their lineup, and we're going lineup. We brought the best players in every position we could think of. We didn't just bring a starting lineup and some backups. No, we brought everybody to the party. And so the second year, not only did you see most teams had at least one, if not many, indoor players on it, especially the ones that went on, and including the actual winner this year, who was the head coach of the Chihuahua Savage, which is a team in the MASL, and mostly filled with our Mexican team members there. The ones that were successful played either under that style or with players from our league, which I think was so gratifying from working with the St. Louis Ambush in 2021, seeing it be on YouTube, then the next year it going to Twitch. And this year last year was the first year that CBS Galazzo picked up some of our things. So we're starting to see some of the steam, but be put back into the indoor game where it was in the 1980s when you'd have 15,000 people going to see an indoor Wichita Wings game. You're seeing that now again. You're seeing lots of people come out, and I think the TST tournament just put it back out there. I mean, Pat McAfee's team has Stefan Mijatovic. It had Zach Raget, who's here from the Kansas City Comets. It had Gordy. It had so many of these indoor players, and they were just absolutely killing it. And they're on Pat McAfee's show, and we're going, wow, the people are seeing. It's bringing a lot of eyes to the indoor game, which makes me so happy because I love having soccer year round. I love being able to go watch the games outside at St. Louis City. And then when that's done, pretty much right when it's done or a little bit afterwards, around Thanksgiving is when indoor season ends end of March, early April. So right as the other ones, kicks off. It's just an awesome way, especially in Missouri, both in St. Louis and here. We have teams year round. Now, I will never support sporting. We need to make that clear. Just in case anyone is confused. That will never happen. I walked into my first day of work at the radio station, and the coworker who sits on the other side of the cubicle from me is on the KC Sports Journal's podcast.
Oh boy.
And he was wearing his Sporting KC shirt, and it was the day after our very first game with them of the season this last year when we tied. And we looked at each other and we're like, you. He said, I knew I saw a St. Louis City SC bumper sticker in the parking lot. I wondered who it was. I'm like, oh, it's me. And I constantly am wearing my city gear, and I get so much trouble for it. But no, I'm always going to be a St. Louis City SC girl.
You need more stickers. It looks like we're going to have to hook you up with some more stickers for all the So I guess so kind of bring it to the MASL. So knowing then you move, from St. Louis to Kansas City. Yes.
I got my Comets jersey on.
Yes. And I think it's a fun part, especially for me. I think, I guess sort of from Kansas City, even though it was kind of a pit stop. And I played most of my soccer there. And I think Comets were probably the team that I watched the most soccer in Kansas City. I think Sporting KC went once, and when they were still the Wizards. And I think that was the only game that actually took me away from MLS until City came.
So we can both have love for the Comets, and we can both look at Sporting like, nah, we're good, right?
that was the only one that I could watch. I watched MLS once with the Wizards, and then it took 10 plus years for me to watch MLS again. So yes, the mutual for Sporting KC is. So
Yeah.
how would you say? Yes.
Yeah.
So how is your experience now with now the Comets? We saw that you are now I guess live commentator as well for the
Yeah.
Comets. So how did that come around, and how is that look? Is it different from when you're like in a 22,000 people stadium versus now all close in person? Or how is that experience between the two?
Yeah, well, having worked in the MASL, and when we moved here, I had already joined the broadcast team of Eric Bergrund and Nick Vezos during the second season I was with the St. Louis Ambush. I used to come up every game. The
Okay.
I-70 series between the Ambush and the Comets is super legendary. We usually play each other about 5 or 6 times a season. That's usually the most times these two teams see anybody else. So there's a really nice rivalry that goes on there. So whenever we would play here, I would just come up with the team because I wanted to see the games, and it's nice and close. It's a perfect road trip.
Right.
So I became friends with the broadcasters and joined them during a third period just to talk about what was going on at the Ambush at the time. And so when I came up here, they said, hey, if you'd like to, get involved. And I said, yeah, I love the MASL. I think that the league has all the potential in the world to grow into this incredible juggernaut of a sport. I think the experience, especially for families, is really kind of unmatched. It's very different than the MLS in that respect, and I'll definitely talk about that. But they asked me, hey, would you like to be a part of the live broadcast crew? And I said, well, I've never done that before, but I have the experience in all of the arenas that would make sense for it. So if you don't mind me trying it out, I'd love to, which was very exciting because at the time we had heard that perhaps the games would be on YouTube. Then they told me, hey, the first game you're going to work is going to be on CBS Galazo. So I said,
No
oh,
pressure.
no big deal. It's just going to be on national TV. Okay, never done this before. Here we go. So I stand in between the 2 penalty boxes, which if you're not familiar with indoor soccer, if you get a blue card for a kind of a more of egregious foul, this is your pretty obvious you've shoved somebody down situation, you end up in a 2-minute penalty box, leaving your team a man down for that power play. So right in between, there's 2 penalty boxes, and then right in between the penalty boxes is where the public address announcer, Nate, stands, and the guy who runs the clock. And I hang out in that little area there. So it's definitely different because I'm right on the field. So I'm constantly looking left and looking around people to see. Whereas when I'm at City and it's 22,000, I'm up top like a bird. I can see everybody. I mean, if you tell me what seat you're in, I will zoom in. Did I zoom in on you? I will zoom in and I will snap you and I will find you in the audience. So I definitely have a different viewpoint. But Kansas City, like you said, as a young lad growing up here and playing soccer in Kansas City and watching the Comets, they haven't lost as much of the momentum that St. Louis did, where the Ambush was there and then the Ambush wasn't anymore and then it was. The Comets have had more of a straight strain of success. So I walked into a totally sold out 5,100 person Cable Dahmer arena. And it's like St. Louis, where it's in about 20 minutes outside of the city, and Independence still considered Kansas City, the way that St. Charles is the St. Louis Ambush. It's the same thing. But it's just such a family experience, which is so cool. I mean, you've got a dog mascot. We've got the cheerleaders. We've got confetti that like comes down from the ceilings. That's coupons for restaurants.
Nice.
It's basically, the indoor is basically like you're going to, I wouldn't say like a craft fair, but some sort of fair where every 3 feet there's a different booth with a different local business. They have all sorts of delicious local foods and stuff you can have. They even had pyro. We're indoors and it's turf, and there was pyro during the entry, and I was, as the daughter of a firefighter, so afraid. I was like, I'm sure somebody definitely checked this out with a fire marshal, but we are indoors. But like, that's the MASL, man. You're gonna get people running into each other and running into the wall and having to leave the field, and then you've got a power play and you're on a man down, and It's exciting. It's fast paced. You might go to a City game and you might not see a goal at all. There's a chance you could go and they could end 0-0. You could go to a Comets, St. Louis Ambush game and you could see 14 goals by one team or both. It doesn't, you know what I mean? There have been 14-2 games. 8-3. You're seeing these 5-4 incredible actions. So for a fan, the most fun part is when they score goals, obviously. So going to an indoor game, you're yelling goal over and over and over again. Yeah. So it just really is. It's very, I would say it's so much like soccer, like the outdoor game. And definitely seeing the players, especially at TST, watching them go outdoors after seeing them play indoors, you can see where the talent translates so well. But as a fan, they're two very different experiences, and I love them both. I truly do. And I hope that people who love MLS soccer or Premier League or USL or even college, I hope that they come indoor and check it out, because there's so much insane talent. We're seeing bicycle kicks. You're seeing, it's just, I posted something on my Instagram stories. Benji Monreal, who is not playing this year due to visa issues, because the league has been struggling with visa issues. Okay. I mean, he hit a rebound off of a wall under a leg, inside his heel. I mean, I don't know. It's, you guys, I'm watching acrobatics. I'm watching acrobatics happen. It's really wild. I think anybody who enjoys soccer at all in any form, the moment they go to an MASL game will want to go back, which is what you drove me to, switch teams, if you will.
You just, they're just borrowing you.
I got traded is what it is. Yes, I was an off-season pickup. It doesn't hurt at all that my partner, Marcel, is on the Kansas City Comets. He's had an excellent start to his season, scoring one and assisting one in his first game against St. Louis, which I know was tough on him, having to play against his friends, because we still come home and spend a ton of time with our ambush friends. So I'm proud to get to watch him too. It's very cool that we get to do this together. I think that's also kind of a unique story. But I also see a lot of actors end up dating each other. A lot of doctors date nurses. So it's, it's just very cool that I get to kind of be in a support role for the teams that he's worked for. It really started with TST because we were both working for the team and just knew each other as friends. And then we won $1 million and we're like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
we did that together.
At least now it's not a long distance, right? You don't have to worry about 2.5 hours back and forth, right?
Man, I was telling him, I said, hey, look, his contract was up at the end of this past season, and we were in North Carolina, and the other coaches for different teams in San Diego's coach was there. Milwaukee's coach was hitting him up right out. I was like, oh man, you could choose anywhere. I was like, but we did just move to Kansas City. And they did go to the Ron Newman Cup finals last year. So I'm just saying, you could be a Comet. And when he chose Comets, I was like, yay.
Yeah, I think that helps a few things, right?
Yeah.
So yes, and I think I was at that game. So, and I think I always think a lot of us know that, once you pass that line, your friends are no longer, they're more enemies. And once you pass that line again, you're back to friends. So I'm sure it's normal. It's part of being a pro these days.
I didn't even think about it until the drive down. I had asked him, what's the strategy? That St. Louis Ambush have Frank Tayu, this absolute goal-scoring monster, who's going to be set up to guard him. And he says somebody, and it wasn't him. And I'm like, I think Marcel's one of the best defenders. So I was like, oh, who are you going to be guarding? He's like, well, somebody who's really fast. And I said, it clicked that he would be playing, probably guarding against William Eske. From the St. Louis Ambush, from Newtown Pride. And the two of them played together at William and Mary. They were roommates at college. And I thought, it never dawned on me that you and your best friend would not only be playing against each other on a team, but that you'd be matched up to play against each other, offense, defense. But I saw that the moment they got out there on the field, it was business. It was business. But then also the second the whistle blows, the smiles, the hugs, all of that began. I loved getting around to see all of the wives. There was 1 million ambush babies born in the last year. I swear there's something in the water down there. I escaped. I escaped out of here. Yeah. There's like everybody had a baby at the game, which was so cool. And the MASL is nice and small. So the community's very in touch. You know, when you think about the MLS players, they're able to get into the community and do stuff, especially during like the City Futures program, which is the free soccer program that St. Louis City SC puts on for the community in different areas. But that's just, you know, maybe they come by for like an hour or something, the players do, because they're super busy. And, you know, the professional athletes, they have other stuff going on. But the indoor soccer players, a lot of them coach locally.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So it is so cool to be in the stadium and to hear Coach Will. And I know that Will Eske works for the St. Louis Stars.
Yep.
And I can see the kids from his program. And I mean, there are kids who come out and see Marcel. They're like, oh, you left us for the Comets, but we'll come to all the games here. But it's because he coached for the Steamers. It's because these players are actually tangible in a way that you can't really get to. Although I will say, as any professional team I've ever seen, the St. Louis City SC guys, they touch their fans. They high five us. They're there at the end of every game taking photos. So I cannot say that they are not like the most incredible, but it is awesome that these guys in the MASL are able to really work in the community and teach the kids themselves how to play, which is cool.
Well, Louis Perez is actually my son's soccer coach.
Is he really?
Yes, for Lou Fuse. So yes, so we're supposed to go this Sunday when they're playing. So yes, so most of the team will be going to the game to cheer for him. So yes.
Oh, I love that. Louis is so great. Miguel coached with me one day out at Steamers, and the kids had no idea who he was, but the parents were all very excited. They wanted all their kids' photos taken with him. It was so sweet. And in fact, Jason Glover, who is Caden Glover's dad, is the owner of the St. Louis Steamers club there. And so he was our boss. So a lot of times if your kids play for the Steamers, you would see Makai Joyner out there. You'd see Caden out there. You'd see Miguel out there, which is really cool too.
Yeah, that's the beauty of soccer, right? I think Case, well, I'm not really sure about Sport KC, but the St. Louis folks, you do see them quite a lot. I think Horn and I forget who was there as well. We're actually at Grant's Farm, and it's only the crazy soccer fans know who they are, right? So, but so we kind of recognize each other and just waved. But I kid you not, there was like hundreds of people, and no one knew who these two tall guys were their families, and we just wave at each other, smile, and I was like, we knew that no one else knew who you were.
Yeah,
and
you have maybe one more season before you can't do this anymore. If you look at Josh Yarrow and you go, oh, he can't go anywhere now.
Oh no, he cannot go anywhere. He's always everywhere.
Yeah, but that's three seasons for him. So you give Horns, you give those guys a couple more seasons, and they won't be able to go anywhere.
Yes, this not pretty well, but I think Josh is everywhere. He's like every event, everything. He's one of those faces you can't really miss if you watch a little bit of soccer.
You and I both share something in common, which is our passion for the Yarrow Foundation too. Yes. What he has done and what he is going to continue to do is absolutely incredible. The man built an actual school.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you hear about organizations where money goes somewhere and then it's going to be distributed to somebody. But this was you buy a t-shirt, you donate money, and it literally built an actual physical school for children. It gives actual uniforms to children. Like it's so direct. It's so personal.
I think that's one of the things I kind of like about soccer players. I don't know about maybe other team sports do it often, but I do know a lot of soccer players here out abroad. A lot of them do have those foundations where they run their own school. They maybe not advertise it as much like others, but I think I probably know 30 players, or mostly African players, that do run their own school in their home countries. It's just that you may not know about it, but
and that's what I get on Josh about that all the time. Yeah. When we first met, I said, I do social media. Let me help you with your foundation.
Yeah.
Because like he's like just so humble about it. He doesn't
Yes.
want to. He feels like he's bragging or he's asking for the money. Where I'm like, no, we need to ask for people's money. So like, give it
Yeah.
to you. Let someone else hype you up. I
Yeah.
wish we could get more social media managers in contact with players because they do these incredible things. And like you said, they so often don't get spoken about as loudly as they should. And there's
Yes.
so much good that's being done. I have my Euro Foundation t-shirt and I donated on his birthday last
Nice.
year too. I'm so proud of everything our city is like just in general that St. Louis City SC is doing for the community, but seeing individual players take it on their own to also do stuff is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess the plug there is still that Bao jersey that I've put together for him, and that
Uh-huh.
pretty much all the money that's being raised from York and Olive actually goes directly to him. And I think we were also able to raise money during the U.S. game, Jamaica. So I kind of did a partnership collaboration with U.S. Soccer. So pretty much I had the link. So anyone that bought tickets from my link,
Yeah.
actually the any of the proceeds, pretty much all the proceeds that came out of those tickets that were supposed to go to me went to the Josh Shower Foundation. So
That is so
yeah,
cool.
so we're just
Whoa.
just trying to promote him, and that, like you were saying, right? He's being very humble about it. So
Mm-hmm.
so any
Which is
chances
why we all
I get those
appreciate
things,
him.
just do it. But
It's
yes, he's
one of the
one of the
reasons we
many
all
that
love
do nice
him. Yeah.
things. Yes.
Yeah. If there's, you know what, I remember, and we have a mutual friend and my friend Ellie, who's one of the biggest soccer fans and one of the most energetic season ticket holders I know.
Hmm.
We went to the Western Conference Championships when St. Louis City 2 won and went on to the finals last year. It
Right.
was 2 years, 2 3 the first season 3 years ago.
So
And
now
I asked
what?
her, I said,
3 years now.
yeah, 3 years ago, I asked her, who's your favorite player? And she just no question spit it out, Josh Yarrow. And I said, why?
Mhm.
And she said, he was the only player to show up to the Pride parade.
Okay. Nice.
And she's
Yeah.
like, so seeing his support of the LGBTQ community and seeing his community support for people outside of himself
Yeah.
made me love him. And I was like, not even soccer related. Her answer for her favorite player wasn't even soccer related because soccer is just so much more to almost everyone who plays. We all are very much aware of how different it is to be in the fan group, in a season ticket holder group, or in like a supporter group than when you go to a baseball game or a hockey game. Those are lovely times. I went to a Chiefs game. It was very fun, but everyone's kind of in their pod. You and your guest, you know, our friends. When you're at a soccer game, your whole section is fair
Yeah.
game. Like
Yes. Yes.
everyone there is like part of your family all of a sudden, which is just really unique for the sport.
Yes. I know everybody on my section, and we had to
Mm-hmm.
say goodbye because we're all changed spots.
Oh,
But yes. But yes, we all get to know each other and all follow, talk to each other, and sometimes you even walk during this just out about with your family, and you see them around town, and you say hi, and the kids like, who is this person? It's like, oh, we sit next to them during 90 minutes of the game. So
I wonder if it's kind of bred out of the desire to like have our sport be the popular sport. You know what I mean? We're so
mhm,
used to having to get our soccer from like weird channels. Like, you know,
right.
you can get, you know, Monday Night Football and ever, but trying to find a soccer game on a TV station is like, what the heck? So now we're all like, we are bonded by this struggle to have our sport be known in the United States. And so now we're all like, yes, your team, support. And it's really a beautiful thing to see.
Yes. So I think as we start to maybe wrap up, because I'm sure you have a
Mhm.
very busy schedule, because I
I've
think
got a
you're
pizza over there cooling.
wow. So we're gonna have to make it short because cold. Well, it depends. Cold pizza, it depends on where you get your pizza. Sometimes, Ferracci's, their pizzas are
Oh,
awesome cold.
I missed St. Louis pizza. I'm not gonna
Yes.
lie. There is an Emos up here. I just have not made it over there. And I know it's controversial, the Provel cheese, but I love St. Louis for
Hey,
their pizzas.
I'm French. Anything that has cheese, I'm good with it. I don't discriminate. So yes, so yes, so from there, knowing that now you're, in radio, and you've gone city, you've gone ambush, you've gone comets. So what
Hmm.
is next for you?
Ooh, I would like to continue to find some other ways, possible podcasty type ways to support the MASL and to support soccer in general. I have a lot to say on the subject. And being in radio, I'm used to having a microphone to say things. So I'm hopeful that I can kind of transition into that world a little bit. Other than that, I've already spoken to the folks at City, and barring anything else, I should be back to do City 2 again next season, which I love. Yes. Worth every mile. And it's so cool because the City 2 games are usually right after the City 1 games. So as a season ticket holder, I get to go watch a game, then perform a game. It's so good. And I do hope to go back to TST. Newtown Pride is looking for our second win. We went all the way to the semifinals and lose in extra minutes when we dominated. The possession of the game was really hard. So we're coming back with an axe to pick. So
and the whole world is watching.
So you'll definitely see me doing Comet stuff. Yeah, City stuff, Newtown Pride stuff, and just rocking the airwaves. Of course, I'm always in St. Louis too. I was there for the St. Louis game, St. Louis Amish game. So if you see me out of West County Mall or strolling around Chesterfield or Dogtown or wherever, say hey.
Just be nice. She has not left us.
Say,
She's just on loan.
Give me a Let's Go City. Yeah.
Yes. You're just on loan for now, so that's it's not too bad.
Until St. Louis gets their own NWSL team, right? Then maybe I'd have to come home for that, right?
I'm curious to see. I think it's a matter of when, not if.
Yes.
So I think
from the speech I watched Carolyn give about a year ago, she did a women in sports speech, and her and her mother and her sisters were all there, and they were like, "Well, we're doing this now, but yeah, we're gonna do that." So that would be so great.
It'll be interesting.
Please.
And if it happens also at City Park, or would that be another stadium somewhere else? I mean,
I would love to have plenty of City
space,
Park,
so
but
yes.
Yeah. Especially with those cool training fields. I mean, they set that up, having the benefit of everybody else's previous experience and being this late to the MLS party has benefited us in that retrospect, I guess. Yeah, in that respect.
Yes, lesson learned definitely works. So could you tell everyone, how they can listen to you, even though it's in Kansas City, but this is the new age, so we can listen to you anywhere and share your social media.
Yeah. You can find me on all the social media at LuxstLou, LuxstLou, despite the folks in Kansas City giving me a ton of cred for that. I was born and raised there. It took me 40 years to move out. I will be St. Lou till I die, I suppose. And if you want to listen to me on the radio, I'm on 5 to 9 a.m. on 101thefox.net is where you can find me, because you're not in Kansas City, but if you're here, it's 101 The Fox. Classic rock. So your favorites, Led Zeppelin and Queen and all that good jazz. The Beatles.
Wow, those are all that my dad listened to. I was an 80s baby, so I'm on all hip hop. So yes.
Me too.
All right.
I know you look at my Spotify Wrapped, and it's like Tyler the Creator and Kendrick Lamar, and people are like, don't you do classic rock radio? I'm like, well, I listen to the classic rock all day, and then I come home and I listen to the hip hop all night, so I get both.
Yeah, you gotta have a bit variety. I think.
Yeah,
I think if you watch my 2004 wrap up, was mostly reggae music and then hip hop together. Yeah. And I guess French rap all bundled
You have to
together.
send me some French rap suggestions.
Yes.
I took French in high school. I'd like to see what I can pick out.
I might have to give you some of some French rappers, because others those lingo might be a little bit out of norm, but they all want to speak English these days. Anyway. But yes.
This was so much fun, Mo.
Yes. Well, thank you all for joining me for another episode of Mo Football. And there will be a lot more interviews coming up with Lux. That was, I think, the very first of this season. It was long overdue, so definitely appreciate your time. I'm a little jealous that it's warmer in Kansas City than in St. Louis, but I have to go outside to watch some ECNL games.
Oh, no.
Because they're all in St. Louis for their showcases. Yes. So
Dress warm.
say hi to some coaches, but But yes, I won't let your pizza get any colder. So definitely appreciate time, and I hope to see you again in St. Louis.
Absolutely. Take care, Mo.
All righty, take care.